Anxiety and overthinking often feel louder at night, as if the mind waits for the lights to go out before turning everything up. This isn't because night is inherently dangerous, or because something suddenly goes wrong with us after sunset. It's more about how modern life is structured, what disappears when the day ends, and what quietly takes its place. During the day, the mind is occupied, even when we're stressed. There are messages to answer, tabs open, people around, background noise, small decisions that keep attention pointed outward. Work, errands, commuting, and constant screen interaction create a steady stream of mental interruption. Thoughts still exist, but they're broken up. There's little uninterrupted space for them to stretch out. At night, that structure collapses. The emails slow down, the notifications thin out, conversations end. The world becomes quieter, and in that quiet, the mind finally has room to move freely. Not peacefully, just freely. Thoughts that were postponed all day get their turn. Not because they're more important at night, but because nothing is actively pushing them aside anymore. There's also the simple fact that nighttime removes distraction without removing stimulation. Many of us spend our evenings scrolling, watching, switching between apps, absorbing other people's words and lives. Screens keep the brain alert but unfocused. They don't demand action, just attention. When the screen finally goes dark, the brain doesn't instantly slow down. It's been primed to stay awake, to keep processing, to keep consuming. With nothing left to consume, it turns inward. Another reason anxiety intensifies at night is that the brain is deeply influenced by context. Darkness, stillness, and physical rest signal a kind of vulnerability. Throughout human history, night was a time when threats were harder to see and help was farther away. We don't consciously think this way anymore, but the body hasn't entirely forgotten. In quiet darkness, the mind becomes more alert to uncertainty. Small worries feel larger when there's no daylight to contain them. Modern life adds another layer: delayed emotions. Many people in their 20s to 40s spend their days managing roles: employee, partner, child, friend, while quietly postponing their own reactions. You get through the meeting, you reply politely, you finish what's required. Emotional responses are deferred, not resolved. Night becomes the only time those reactions are allowed to surface. The mind replays conversations, reevaluates choices, rewrites outcomes, not to torture you, but to process what didn't fit into the day. Overthinking also thrives at night because there's no immediate feedback loop. During the day, thoughts can be tested quickly. You can ask someone, you can check something, you can do something about it. At night, action is limited. Messages feel intrusive. Decisions can't be executed. Problems can't be solved in real time. Thoughts remain hypothetical, and hypothetical thinking tends to spiral. When there's no way to close the loop, the mind keeps it open. Fatigue plays a quieter role than people realize. By night, mental energy is depleted. The brain becomes less efficient at filtering thoughts and prioritizing information. It's not that problems are bigger, it's that the mind is less able to rank them properly. Everything arrives with similar emotional weight. A small, awkward moment from years ago can feel as significant as a real decision that needs to be made. Tiredness flattens perspective. There's also the absence of identity reinforcement. During the day, who you are is constantly reflected back to you. Your role is clear. Your competence is visible. Your place is defined by tasks and responses. At night, those external mirrors disappear. Without them, the mind can start questioning things it usually takes for granted: direction, worth, progress, connection. These questions aren't dramatic. They're quiet and persistent. They don't demand answers immediately, but they don't leave either. Social comparison intensifies at night too, especially in screen-heavy lives. Evening scrolling often shows people at their most curated: achievements, relationships, bodies, milestones. When the day ends and your own activity stops, comparison becomes sharper. You're no longer doing, you're observing. The gap between your internal state and other people's external presentation can feel wider. The mind fills that gap with interpretation, usually unkind. Nighttime also lacks future structure. During the day, time is segmented. There's a next task, a next hour, a next obligation. At night, especially before sleep, time feels undefined. Tomorrow exists, but it's distant. That lack of immediate structure gives the mind permission to roam across past and future. Regrets surface because nothing is actively pulling attention forward. Worries about what's ahead emerge because nothing is anchoring you to the present moment. Importantly, nighttime anxiety isn't always about fear. Often, it's about meaning. When external noise fades, internal narratives become audible. Questions about whether you're doing enough, becoming who you thought you'd be, or living the life you intended don't usually interrupt a busy afternoon. They wait. Night offers them space. There's a common belief that if you're anxious at night, something is wrong with you or your mind. But it can also be understood as a sign that your inner world finally has uninterrupted airtime. The problem isn't that thoughts appear, it's that they arrive all at once, unfiltered, after being held back all day. Modern life trains us to postpone reflection. Productivity, responsiveness, and constant availability leave little room for unstructured thought. Night becomes the default container for everything that didn't fit elsewhere. Anxiety grows there not because it prefers darkness, but because darkness is the only time it's allowed to speak without interruption. Understanding this doesn't make nighttime overthinking disappear, but it can change how it's interpreted. Instead of seeing it as failure to relax or shut down, it can be seen as delayed processing catching up, a mind finally doing what it couldn't do earlier, without an ideal environment or optimal timing. Night doesn't create anxiety. It reveals what's been quietly accumulating. And sometimes, noticing that shift, without trying to fix it or fight it, can soften the experience just enough to make it feel less like an enemy and more like a signal that the day never quite gave you space to finish being human.